Let's talk about the animator Hiroto Nagata. There's no photo of him, okay? What do you want me to do? Give me a fucking break, man, okay? His first work that we know of is a 2015 short called This Room, and 2 years after that short, he started working for Shaft as an in-betweener in animes like Sarugoto, Kizumonogatari, and Sangatsu no Lion. But it didn't take him long to earn a position and start doing his first key animations, being his first ones a cut of the last chapter of Sokuo Warimonogatari in 2018, and from this moment on, he gained more recognition and was allowed to participate in more important scenes inside Shaft, starting with Magia Record and Assault Lily Bouquet, and it is with these two animes that he began to define his style, being the most remarkable element the fluidity of his scenes. Everything has to be in constant movement, but at the same time he tries to never draw off model and not to abuse the deformations, which is an element used all throughout the medium to generate more impact, even if sometimes the fans make fun of the technique. The only times you are going to see deformed characters in Nagata's animations is when he uses smears, which refers to drawing things erratically to simulate the sensation of movement. But outside of those cases, the only deformations he usually does are tied to movements where he tries to play with the viewer's perspective, resulting in scenes that are both fluid and super detailed. But this is only what stands out at first glance. In his animations there's a lot more elements to highlight, from the more striking things like the amount of effects such as sparks and lightnings, or the obsessions he has with animating, sometimes even excessively, the hair and clothes of the characters, to the less noticeable things, like the use of impact frames that are these drawings in which generally the screen gets completely white except for some details in black at the time of an impact, so it has, well, more impact. But what makes me distinguish a Nagata cut over the rest is the dynamic use of shadows. I never saw someone handle the shading this way. Instead of focusing on using shadows to give a sense of three-dimensionality or volume as other anime usually do, he uses them to generate a kind of texture and give more intensity to the movements. But I think that at this point I'm simply ignoring the elephant in the room. There is an element of his animations that generates a bit of controversy. As I said, Hiroto Nagata is obsessed with movement, and that includes a lot of camera movements, and if you put that together with all the stuff, it generates pretty confusing action scenes. In this scene, it's hard to even tell which characters are on screen. Between the camera movements and all the other elements we already named, it makes for something really hard to understand. And with all of this said, there's only one question to make. Is Hiroto Nagata's animation bad? Well, I think every time we try to talk about whether something is good or bad, we have to put it in context. The actions or fight scenes are, as everything in an artistic work, narrative elements, and they exist in function of what they tell. For example, this type of cuts will serve perfectly for an anime like Dragon Ball, where more than once we are alluded to the speed of the characters and how for normal people it's even difficult to follow the movements with their eyes. In this case, an animation like Nagata's will not only be justified, but for me it would be perfect. But on the other hand, if I put as an example something like Shigurui, I don't know if it would work. This is an anime that tries to portray the violence of a period of the Japanese history in a very extreme way, and to do so, the series shows you how fragile lives are, ending almost all the fights with a single blow. And also at the same time, the anime follows the story of a samurai clan, showing us their techniques. Therefore, the fights are slow until the moment of the killing blow, and you have to feel each impact while we are shown in a concrete way how each character uses their swords. Each movement had to be precise and the animation has to make it clear what happened, and although there are quick cuts of animations that are difficult to follow as Nagata's ones, they are followed by very slow cuts that recontextualize what just happened and also give space for a moment of dialogue or some kind of explanation. As I said before, a fight is a narrative instrument before a fight, so it has to be consistent with what the work wants to say, and it is at this point that I think this scene of Nagata fails. Much of this fight falls on the emotional factor of seeing the girls of the series reunited after so much, and we are at a point of the plot in which we are presented with a conflict. While this society called Magius is giving the magical girls a strange power and promises to save them, Iroha doubts this and feels that they don't need this power, that if they work together as a team they shouldn't need this dark power that the mysterious organization is offering them. So apparently in this fight against a magical girl who used this power so much that she started to lose control, we and Kuroe, a girl who is part of Magius, should be shown that even a magical girl as weak as her is stronger than this power as long as she works as a team with the other magical girls. But I say apparently because we don't see much of this. The animation not only doesn't highlight how they are helping each other, but if you didn't know it from before, you don't even realize that there are 3 girls fighting. This is a rare case where we can say that having a more fluid and fast animation is not exactly better. What's more, in the Blu-ray they even delete a few frames to make the fight easier to follow. But in fear of repeating myself, this does not mean that this type of animation is bad per se. For example, if we go to the first chapter of the second season, there is a fight that raises the same type of controversy, but in this case I consider that the animation Nagata made was used correctly, since this scene shows us nothing more and nothing less than a character giving his soul even if it's not enough, and for this all that is needed is this animation. And before ending today's video, I would like to thank Dasai that edited this video, and all the patrons that helped me pay him. If you like the video or want to help my channel, you can help me donating to the Patreon that's down below. And that's everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.